What can a loser like you do? My brother sneered as he said this. Living with him and his wife, I saw how they took advantage of our mother. She came to our house looking worn out and crying, saying, "I don't want to go back there." I couldn't shake the image of her distress as I clenched my teeth. "Are you really going to take care of that old hag? Can you even support her?" He mocked me. He treated our beloved mother so poorly and ridiculed me too. Anger bubbled up inside me, and I gripped my phone tightly, but I kept my voice calm and replied, "If you're okay with it, I'll take her in. My name is Rena, and I'm 30 years old. I've been married for 4 years and live a happy life with my kind husband and our 2-year-old daughter. We are blessed in our work and enjoy a joyful life." I looked at the calendar and checked my phone. Today is my mother's birthday. Happy 58th birthday, Mom. Are you okay? Is anything bothering you? I texted her and soon got a reply. "Thank you for your message. I'm doing fine. Don't worry. How are you and your family? I always pray for your happiness." Even after reading her response, I couldn't shake my worry. Right now, my mother lives with my brother and his wife in our childhood home. Our family used to consist of 4, my father, my mother, my older brother, and me. My father was strict and had old-fashioned views, controlling everyone around him. Because of him, my mother and I often felt oppressed. My maternal grandfather worked for my paternal grandfather's company. My mother was chosen to marry my father because of his family's wealth and power, almost like a hostage. When my father was supposed to take over the company, it failed because of the economic downturn, but they still had some money left. I never saw my father work. He spent his days drinking and yelling at my mother and me. Living in fear of his temper, my mother obeyed him. He believed women were inferior and treated my brother as if he was special. My brother got everything he wanted, while I could never express my desires. "Women shouldn't be greedy," my father would say. This made my brother feel entitled and always treat me like I was less than him, constantly mocking me. Growing up like this was painful, and I dreamed of leaving home as soon as I could. Even though I had excellent grades, my brother, who did poorly in school, was allowed to attend expensive private schools while my father wouldn't let me go to high school. He would say, "Women don't need education. It's a waste. You should get married soon or work a low-paying job." I remember when my brother called me a dumb girl and said I didn't deserve to go to high school. I cried out of frustration at the unfairness of it all. In the end, my mother secretly arranged for me to attend a boarding high school. Despite the tough situation at home, she always supported me. "Rena, it's okay. You can escape from here. You will find happiness," she told me. I remember my mother saying these words before I went off to high school. I graduated from university thanks to scholarships and money I earned myself. Since high school, I rarely returned home. I didn't attend my brother's wedding, and I didn't tell them when I got married, but I stayed in touch with my mother and occasionally met her. I truly owe who I am today to my mother. She is very important in my life. She was a gentle soul who may have seemed weak, but she loved me with all her heart. I always wished for her happiness. When my father died from his unhealthy lifestyle, I didn't attend the funeral, but I got shocking news from my mother. On his deathbed, my father told my brother and his wife to move back home and live with our mother. Ever since then, they have been living with her. I wanted to protest, but my mother said it was okay, so I didn't say anything more. Instead, I kept in touch with her. One day, I got a call from my brother, and I worried if he would take care of our mother properly. Was she really okay? I always felt uneasy about the situation. Eventually, my fears came true. One night, the intercom of my apartment rang unexpectedly. When I answered it, I found my mother standing there, looking ragged. Despite it being late fall, she wore a thin old short-sleeve shirt and a worn-out skirt. Her hair was messy, her cheeks were hollow, her eyes looked sunken, and she was trembling. I was shocked by her appearance and raised my voice. "Mom, what happened to you?" "Rena, I'm sorry to show up like this," she said in a weak voice, tears streaming down her face. I welcomed her in, and my husband quickly made her a warm drink and got her a blanket. Once she settled down, Mom began to speak slowly. After she started living with my brother and his wife, Nicole, things changed. They treated her like a maid. They made her do all the housework, and if it wasn't done to their satisfaction, my brother would scold her, calling her useless and a nuisance, even threatening to throw her out. Nicole called my mom an old hag and sold her few precious pieces of jewelry and clothes. They spread false rumors, saying my mom was a troublesome mother-in-law. Mom lost weight rapidly, and when she got sick and bedridden, they still forced her to do chores. Seeing her talk through her tears broke my heart. "Mom, why didn't you tell me you were suffering so much?" "Rena, I've caused you hardship since you were a child. I didn't want to burden you any further, she replied. I thought if I could just bear it, my mom said, her voice trembling. Then, I received an email. Oh, it's from Nicole. Where are you? You didn't do the laundry, and there's no food. Do you want your things to be sold again? The email made my mother's hands shake. I'm sorry, Rena, I don't want to go back to that house, she said. Hearing my mother's words, I pulled out my smartphone and dialed the number she had given me. After the dial tone, my brother picked up. Who's this? This is Rena, Mom's here with me. Oh, it's you. That old hag left without doing her chores? Tell her to come back immediately. It seems you've been treating Mom quite badly. I've heard everything, I replied, my voice trembling with anger. My brother just snorted and said, what about it? What can a dimwit like you do? You've been overworking Mom to the point of sickness, and you think that's okay? I won't let her live with you any longer. Do you really think you can support that old hag? She's been a housewife all her life, can't do anything, and has no money. Are you going to take her in? No more calling her old hag, she was a great housekeeper. A voice that sounded like his wife came from far away. They had been treating my dear mother so poorly, and even making fun of me. I couldn't stand it. A surge of rage filled me toward my brother and his wife, and my grip on the phone tightened. Still, I said calmly, if you say so, brother, then I will take Mom in. If you're going to take her, that's fine. It'll clear out some space in the house, and I'll be relieved. Understood. Mom will be living with me, so don't contact us anymore. I hung up the phone. Rena, I'll take good care of your mother, my husband said, taking my hand. Our daughter happily climbed onto my mother's lap, calling her grandma, and my mother hugged her, crying. Half a year later, our doorbell rang repeatedly. When I looked out, my angry brother was there, and next to him was a grumpy woman in a flashy outfit, probably his wife, Nicole. What do you want? How did you find out where we live? I asked. We looked it up. Just open up. There's something we want to ask you. My husband and mother stood by my side. I had my husband take our daughter into another room while my mother and I handled the situation. The first thing my brother said when he walked in was, "What's this about our house being sold?" Oh, you got the message? Yes, my company bought your house, I replied calmly. Your company? What are you talking about? Exactly what I said. I'm the head of a well-known real estate company around here, so it's my company. By the way, doesn't the company you work for subcontract to us? When my brother heard the name of my real estate company, his face changed color. That's ridiculous. You, a dropout and a loser? You can't be the head of that company. If you're suspicious, why don't you call to verify? But please don't cause any trouble for the company, I said, showing him my business card. As soon as he saw it, my brother fell silent, his face turning red. After graduating from university, I had worked hard and was hired by a major real estate company. Later, I was headhunted as an executive for a new company. By the way, I met my husband at work, and we got married. He's a landowner, so I think we're considerably wealthier than you. There's no reason for you to call me a dropout or a loser. I can easily support Mom. My brother, wide-eyed and gritting his teeth, didn't respond. His wife looked shocked. Damn it, what about our family home? What do you mean you sold it? My brother yelled, nearly foaming at the mouth. My mother, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. You may not know this, but after your father passed away, the house was transferred to my name. So, I sold the house and land to Rena's company using my rights. You should leave as soon as possible. What? What are you talking about, old woman? Wait, what's going on? You said that as the oldest son, the house was yours, didn't you? My brother and his wife were panicking, their faces changing rapidly. What's wrong with me selling something that's in my name? Sorry to break it to you, but I've broken free from your influence. I won't live as you dictate anymore, my mother said firmly. My brother yelled at her. What the hell are you talking about, you worthless old hag? His wife joined in. That's right, you've never worked a day in your life, just being supported by others. What are you talking about? Mom works hard. She manages an apartment building that my husband and I own. She's very friendly, always keeps the place clean, and is loved by the residents. And she gets paid for it too, I replied firmly. Hearing this, my brother, who had been standing, fell silent and slumped into a chair. Nicole whispered something in his ear. Knowing my prideful brother, he must have felt crushed by this unexpected defeat at the hands of his sister and the rejection from our mother. If there's nothing else, You can leave now. I don't want to be involved with you, I said. My brother lifted his head. His face, which had been filled with rage, now showed a fawning grin. All right, but listen, you're rich now, right? Then give me some money. I recently lost my job and I'm having money troubles. What? I was shocked at my brother's audacity. Hey, Mom could give money to me too. You got money from selling the house, right? Just think of it as helping out your adorable son and give me some cash, then I'll leave. Just as I was about to respond, my mother raised her voice. Enough already, have some shame. I was taken aback to see my usually gentle mother speaking like that for the first time. My brother and his wife looked stunned too. I apologize for raising you to prey on your sister like a shameless creature, but there are things you should and shouldn't do. Don't disturb us anymore. Go home. Hearing this, my brother started to tremble again. Shut up and listen, old hag, you're telling me what's what. Be prepared, I'll squeeze every dime of your inheritance from you. Nicole added, yes, give us the money already. To these two, my mother coldly replied, that's if there's anything left. From now on, I plan to spend all the money from the sale of the house on myself and Rena and her family. I have no intention of leaving a single penny for you two. What the hell, you old crone, my brother yelled. I'm cutting ties with both of you from now on. Please stay away from me and Rena. Leave that house immediately. Seeing my mother stand up to them like this made me so proud. I wanted to applaud. I was genuinely happy that she, who had always been oppressed and obedient, was finally free from the curse of that house. Do you understand now? Please go home, I said, rubbing my mother's trembling back. Damn, no, we won't leave. We'll squat in that house until we get the money at least. My brother and his wife glared at us. Then, a low, calm voice echoed in the room. What do you mean you won't leave? Standing there was my husband. In his gentle voice, he spoke to my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, could you please watch our daughter? You did great, don't worry about the rest, everything will be fine. Hearing my husband's words, my mother said, thank you, and got up from her chair. Looking at my husband, my brother and his wife turned pale, their eyes widening in surprise. What? Who are you? Nice to meet you, I am Rena's husband. By the way, what were you saying to my wife and mother-in-law earlier? He asked with a straight face. My brother and his wife suddenly became docile. That was to be expected. My husband is tall at 6'3", with a solid build and a strong, imposing face. He holds a black belt in judo. Despite his peaceful nature, his kindness toward me, his intellect, and his love for our daughter make him seem intimidating to those meeting him for the first time, especially to someone like my brother, who could only show off and look down on women. My husband is the type that's difficult to handle. Oh, I just remembered I have something to do, so I should be going. Yes, let's go. My brother and his wife quickly changed their attitude and left. Their retreat was so comical that I had to hold back my laughter. In the quiet house, my husband touched my shoulder and said, you did well, you must be tired. My mother appeared, holding my daughter, her face bright. We embraced each other without saying a word. Fast forward 1 year, my husband, my mother, and I continued to share a harmonious relationship. My mother kept her job as a building superintendent, and compared to that night when she showed up looking worn out, she was now lively and healthy. She adored and took care of my daughter, which was a great help to me. Of course, my daughter adored her grandmother too and often stuck to her. Watching them brought happiness to both my husband and me. As for my brother, believe it or not, he divorced shortly after that incident. He lost his house and his money, and when he showed my husband his pathetic state, Nicole quickly left him. Now, Nicole is trying to remarry through dating, but her nasty nature and ulterior motives for money make it hard for her to find anyone. My brother was kicked out of his family home, jobless, and living alone in a rundown apartment while struggling with part-time jobs. Of course, I have no intention of helping him since he brought this upon himself. My mother and I plan to live without getting involved with him any further. By the way, we are planning to build a large 2-family home soon. We could continue living in the condo my husband owns, but as my mother pointed out, it would get cramped as our daughter grows. Let me use all the money from selling the house, she said, and we gratefully accepted. We chuckled at her enthusiasm and looked forward to living happily together in our new home.